Hi, it's Sandy. This is my first Sandy's Soapbox video on YouTube. Sandy's Soapbox is where I casually talk about some Scientology or Trum concept or just share my knowledge or opinion on some topic of interest. Even though I like Trum better as far as the exercises one does to improve their spiritual condition, I cannot ignore the wealth of knowledge that's contained in the subject of Scientology. Now you may ask yourself, why isn't this wealth of knowledge also included in Trum? And I think it's because Dennis Stevens, having been a Scientologist himself, didn't think he really needed to cover areas that were already covered by L. Ron Hubbard all over again. Things like how to communicate better, study better, work better, and predict human behavior. That last is what I'm going to talk to you about today. Predicting human behavior. Have you guys ever broken up with a woman and wished you had a way of knowing ahead of time that she was always going to lie to you? And have you ladies ever wondered if it's really you that's making your boyfriend angry all the time, like he blames you for, or is he just an angry person? Well, people do fluctuate emotionally throughout the days, weeks, months, and years of their lives. That's normal. But everyone has an emotion that's sort of their default setting, and the sooner you figure this out, the better. Some people are always sad. Some people are always afraid. Some are always angry or antagonistic. Then you meet people who seem bored, only mildly interested. Then there are the more cheerful, enthusiastic types. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but something you have probably wondered from time to time is, how do you tell the difference between someone who truly is cheerful and happy and has your best intentions at heart, and someone who only acts that way but's actually stabbing you in the back? L. Ron Hubbard discovered that people not only have certain emotions as their default setting, but found out that such people also have a list of personality traits and behaviors that run consistent with that default setting. And also, he discovered that though some people put up a front of being happier and more cheerful or more honest and helpful than they actually are, you can tell whether or not they are faking you out by looking at the list of traits for each emotional default setting and see which one fits the behavior of that person, and you will know exactly what to expect of them. Like, for example, let's say you meet someone who seems really cheerful, helpful, and interested. But you see that the person also engages in a lot of gossip, tells lies all the time, and you just can't tell them a joke because they take everything literally. Even though they are acting cheerful, they really are not, because those traits I just mentioned are consistent with someone Hubbard calls a 1.1. I'll explain what that number means in a bit here. That person, the 1.1, has an emotional default setting, which Hubbard calls a tone level of covert hostility. Covert hostility means he or she is hostile, but doesn't want to show it. I mentioned this one of covert hostility, and its position of 1.1 on the tone scale first, because this is the one that is most likely to fool us every time. But they won't if you learn about the tone scale. Now about the numbers. Hubbard assigned numbers to these emotional default settings, chronic emotions, or tone levels, because the people who have lower numbers are actually closer to death, and the people who have higher and higher numbers are embracing life more and more. So, like I said, this person who is in 1.1 is not in such good shape, as 0 is death. But the person who is cheerful is at 3.5. And the tone level for enthusiasm is 4.0. Lower on this tone scale we have people who are angry at 1.5, people who are at antagonistic at 2.0, and people who are bored or indifferent are around 2.5. Hubbard organized these tone levels onto a chart, and then, for each of those levels going up and down, going across, he listed the traits for each level. You can actually just sit down with the chart and think of someone and how they act, and spot where they are. This makes it a lot easier to tell what your boyfriend or girlfriend is going to do. It makes it easier to communicate with your friends because you know where they are coming from and you can talk to them at their tone level, mimicking the emotion they are at, and they will be more receptive to you. You can become so expert on the tone scale that after a while, when you finally get to talk to that attractive man or woman who's been flashing you glances all night, you'll be able to tell by the end of your conversation whether it's a good idea to exchange numbers or just wish them a good night. There is a simplified version of the tone scale in L. Ron Hubbard's book Self-Analysis, and that one is designed mostly for you to test where you are on the tone scale so you can see how much the self-analysis exercises help you move up on it. But if you really want an in-depth study of the subject, read Science of Survival. I will warn you, it's not as easy reading as self-analysis, and will make more sense to you if you read Dianetics first. Probably the best way to learn the subject for an absolute beginner would be the section on the tone scale in the Scientology handbook. It's not a terribly long section and will cover the basics. I do recommend that book because it's pretty easy reading, covers a broad range of subjects, and has lots of illustrations in it. That's all I have to say for now. This is Sandy, the self-study Scientologist's Soapbox, and my channel is Scientology and the Resolution of the Mind. If you like this presentation, please subscribe now. I have lots more of these planned for the future.